out initially, how we got to this is uh, we were all rather Tom Gately was going to do a presentation on editing, and he was not able to do it, and not able to even do anything this week. Things have got kind of crazy for him. So that's why we switched to something that Asla had mentioned and suggested earlier about everyone editing one picture. So I contacted Tom Gately and said, send us one picture. And so uh, this is the picture that we have. And it's, I mean, it's obvious to anybody who edits, everyone looks at, I should back up. Everyone could be standing in front of or lying down in front of some marine object, some animal, and we'd all photograph it differently. Well, now we take it the next step. We all have the same image, and we're also going to edit it differently. I mean, it sounds corny to say, but we all let the image speak to us, what we think it should be, or what effect we'd like to see with it. So that's why I'm kind of excited about seeing uh, how everyone edits this one image. And if at the end of the night it seems like there's something we could try another time, um, then we'll go for it. Well, it'll probably have to be next year, but we will definitely give it a try. So, Ellen, Ellen Garvey, if you're okay, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I assume you can see and hear me? Not see me. See the
I
picture
thought it
and
was
hear
in
me?
there.
Yep. Yep.
It's a lovely picture. So this is going to be the editing for dummies. So the first thing that you notice about this picture is that it's rather blue. So I've pulled it up in develop mode in Lightroom. Obviously, the tool you're using is going to be different, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the little dropper here in Lightroom, which is white balance. And conveniently, almost every picture you take will have a little bit of sand, and sand is perfect for white balancing. And poof, huge difference there, obviously. Step two, there's an auto button here, and the first in the basic editing. And I'm going to hit auto. And you can see you can see from the settings here that it did a little bit, but so the exposure it left pretty much alone. It turned down the highlights, it turned up the shadows, turned down the blacks, add a little vibrance and saturation, and I say that's done. So if you're intimidated by editing, white balance and auto, done.
Very good.
Um, so I'm gonna back up for a minute and just show a couple of things related to that. So I'm just going to take those two settings out and show you a couple of things. Let me just reset. So the first thing that you might be tempted by is when you're going to do the white balance, that you would click on this coral because this coral looks white. And what you will see is that's not nearly as good as the sand. So go for sand if you possibly can. If you can't, then you can pick different whites and see what you get for the look that you want. I'm going to back that up again. The other thing is you might be tempted to go for auto first. So I'm going to do that before white balancing, and you will see that that doesn't work worth a damn. So white balance should be your first thing. So very quickly, we're going to do, just to repeat that, white balance on the sand. Oops, excuse me. Hit that and put that there. White balance and auto. So after doing those two things, I looked around for more to do. And normally, normally you've got a better picture than this to work with. Um, I just didn't think there was a whole lot in here that you could mess with. But if you wanted to do something, you could maybe play with these blues. Um, and and if you come down to the color mixer, this little button here, as you'll say, it says dragging in the photo. When I press that button, it's gonna pick, and wherever I am, it's gonna decide what color that is. So if I'm here over the red, it's gonna mess with, in this case, luminance, but I kind of liked this blue. So if I hit that blue and then go up or down, I can maybe make the blues a little more luminant. But I'm going to stop there because I'm sure other people will do a lot more interesting things. I just wanted to show white balance auto. You might be good to go.
Very good. And
That's it.
that's okay. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, and that's terrific. And I especially uh, talked to Ellen about this, especially for people that are intimidated with the whole process of editing in Lightroom and say, "Oh my God, I can't do it." Or, that's a good approach, and it's worth a try. If it doesn't work, and it worked in this case, and works in many cases. But if it does not work, well, then you go back and you try some of the approaches that you're going to see later on tonight. Another spot too, suggest if there is no sand available and you're looking for something and you have that same kind of scene, if you try something that's pitch black, sometimes that will bring you close to what you got too. So, but sand is a nice neutral. So, okay, thanks, Ellen. And so, who did we see was next? Was it
I think we had Becky next.
Becky? Okay.
All righty.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, let's go back. That was the finished. Okay. Is it too light? Is it too dark? Does it have a color cast? So those are the three questions that I start with. The to begin, I would say I don't know who did this photo, and kudos to them for putting it out there. So just as a general opportunity, there doesn't seem to be any marine life. So I would say this would be a great opportunity for composition. You know, right now it's kind of like an ID or a portrait shot. But I'm looking at the shadows, either no strobe or no light or no external light or something, and maybe, the sun is coming from somewhere, kind of to the behind it, to the right. Yeah, to the right, from the shadows or something. So I would say maybe get down lower, maybe you could get, some of the surface, maybe get closer. But anyway, that's where I would start. And then I would go like Ellen, auto white balance, and we could go to the sand. Um, and I always look to the small thumbnail to my left, and you can go all around the picture and just see, what colors you like better. And sometimes the sand works. I I like that. It's not too pink or too bright. So I'm going to start there. And then I'm going to crop it because there's nothing going on for me. Um, and I'm going to just freeform it. So let's just do that. Then I'm going to just make a mask and go to the easy mask and let it choose the subject for me. And there it is. Very, very easy. I'm going to go down. A little bit of texture, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of dehaze.
Maybe for people that are not familiar with Lightroom, when you did your mask and selected the coral, the red was showing you what was selected.
The red
So you
was the
could-
selection, yes. Yep. So that's the whatever the mask is selected turns out to be red until you start actually doing your actions, and then it goes off. So it's just so the mask is just affecting the selected area, and you can see that on this small thumbnail here, up to on the right. And then I'm just going to fool around and like maybe bring down the highlights a little bit. It's a little too harsh. I'm going to go up and take the mask that was made for me. I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to invert it. So everything else around it is selected now. And I'm going to turn down the highlights even more, bring down the whites, bring down the shadows a little bit. And then I don't think I need to just see that. Then I'm going back to my original mask. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to create a new mask, a radial gradient. And that I'm going to kind of mimic a strobe or a light. And let's see, move it around to where I think where the shadows are, maybe it would work better. And then I'm going to turn up the highlights on that, a little bit of exposure, so it kind of highlights a bit, but not enough that it blows up my whites. And then there's still like a little residual color cast up here of cyan I don't like. So I'm going to create a new linear gradient mask and just pull it down up here. And I'm going to add a little bit more red and a little bit more yellow so it pulls the blues out. If you can see that. And I think that's pretty much it. Maybe I'm going to bump up, go back to the global changes and put a little bit of vibrance all around. And I'm going to say that's done.
Very good. Looks great.
A couple minutes. But yeah, opportunity for better composition next time.
One thing that anyone who is new to Lightroom, one of the things, so you can see that Becky did a lot of, used a lot of tools, and that may seem intimidating, or say, my God, there's so much that you have to do. All of that becomes second nature very, very soon. So it's not a huge learning curve to do that. And you see exactly what's happening. And as you already know, you're not damaging the image. You can always undo it and go back again.
And you can go back to any one of these steps on my left-hand side and say, oh, okay, well, I did that a little bit too much, or you know what, I'm just going to go back to the beginning because it just, didn't work. I'm going to start all over again. And it'll just wipe out what you've done after that. So it's so easy to experiment. And these sliders are just, go up, go down, nothing like will harm your image, like Andy said. It's great just to play with it. And there's some wonderful, wonderful tutorials online. So yeah, fun.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And so next is, we have
I think we had Luis next.
Luis. Okay. Yep. All right, Luis.
All right, you should be able to see my screen.
Not yet. It's black at this point. Oh, now you're there. Yep.
Okay. Basically, this is I gotta get rid of the picture so I can't see. It's in my way. Good. All right. Okay, so basically, this is the original picture. I guess I started a different pattern. First, when I looked at it, I said, it's got too much color cast. So the first thing I did was change the temperature. And once I did that, I did the custom white balance afterwards. And I kept working with the sliders here. And did I mess up something? Because that should not be. Oh, that's then I went and added some tint, and I started moving and working my way through all the sliders. I do sometimes do the auto just to get me closer, like Ellen was saying, and then I'll start adjusting from there. But I did some movement of the vibrance, the textures, the clarities. Then I went to the lens profiles, and I was trying to see about correcting some of this chromatic aberration, if you want to call it, around where you can see on the edges. It's sort of soft because it's out of focus in reality. But that didn't get me too far. So, and then I went to try to apply some highlights and some sharpening to the image. And then I just, obviously that was too white. I went a little too far. Then I brought it back down, and I kept working with the highlights and shadows, trying to get what appears to me as a pleasant color. I know this coral is close to white. So then I still felt that the image still had a little too much hue. So I started moving and shifting the aquas, the greens, the blues, and kept working on just the hues first, then the saturation, and ended up, by the end of it, all I did was give it a little more dehaze, and the final product is what's what you see now. Basically, I just adjusted the exposure. I put up the exposure a little bit because as I was adjusting clarity and I give it a little texture, but when you start adding dehaze, it brings back more contrast and stuff, but it also darkens the image a little bit. So thinking of, if you're doing it to put on Instagram or Facebook, sometimes they need to be a little bit brighter so that they look better in the small screen. So, again, I started by just correcting because of that cast, that the bluish cast that it had all over. I started with the temperature and try to get rid of that. I do a lot of times use the dropper and look for sand or something gray, something neutral. And like Becky was saying, she moves around all over. I a lot of times move all over the place looking for a spot where I look at the numbers underneath at the three little numbers, the reds, the greens, and the blues, and try to get a target that gets them all close to each other, because that's closer to neutral, according to what I've read and understood about it. So that's my process.
Good. Very good. It looks great. All right. And yeah, one thing where you mentioned that something that Becky does, which uses the eyedropper and moves it all around the image, but keeps an eye on that upper left-hand side, because that seems to often have a more accurate rendition of the result of putting the eyedropper in different spots. So it's something to keep an eye on. So now Michael and Virginia together. I don't know who's going first, but
I think I am.
okay.
Let's see if I can get this correct.
Yep, you're there.
All right, so I'm going to do this slightly differently. I think. See how it goes. So I'm just going to run through what I did, where I started, and then we'll get to where I ended up. I did quite a few of the same things. So let me make this. Oops, why did it do? Oh, I've been having problems with my computer. I have a question for you. That was great. Did anybody see it black out, or did it stay the same for you all?
I think it stayed the same.
Stayed the
Wow.
same for me.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. No, I've been calling Dell and Apple, and yeah, I've been trying to figure some stuff out. Cool. All right. So this was the beginning, and I went and did the auto like everybody else. I'm not going to spend a lot of time repeating. So I did auto. That's what it got me. Obviously, I wasn't very excited by that. Did multiple settings, which has included the color mostly. I felt like it was kind of flat, and can you all see my magnifying glass there?
Yep.
So I really didn't like the whiteness and the lack of detail in the top of the coral. So that annoyed me the whole time. I popped up contrast. Sorry, I decreased contrast a lot to try and pull that white down. Then I didn't like the fact that this coral was over here. Found it distracting. I usually don't crop right away, but I wanted to see what I was going to get from cropping a little bit. So you can see I moved through here, and that was too much. I was trying to see how close I could get, and I rotated it a little. And then I said, okay, or actually Virginia was here too. So how was it going to look in black and white? And I actually thought it looked better in black and white. So I then turned black and white off, wanted to play around. So I then went moving down. So in essence, I did auto, white balance, played around with a little bit here, not a lot. Then I went into texture, clarity, and dehaze. If I was going to Photoshop, I would have stopped right here. And when I would go into Photoshop, done whatever I'm doing there, and then I would have done a high pass filter. But I did not take this one to Photoshop. So played around with texture, clarity. You can see I'm popping out the polyps because that's what I was trying to do here, and also trying to stop blowing out the tips here. That's kind of where I was going. Then I went to sharpen, see what that did. Which is down here. So I popped up, and when I do this, I will always pop it into to black and white, so I can tell better what it looks like. The radius also, I pop it into black and white, and then the detail I will pop into black and white also. I didn't mask this. I should have. I would probably mask it to something like that. Where did everything go? All right, so it took me to the top there. Um, Control Z. Yeah, I went too far. All right. What happened to the rest of my history? I know what happened. I shouldn't have done that. There we go. Never mind. Now we're back. Um, so I just made a little, it took me from where this was, and then it added the next change I did when I was playing around, and it deleted everything else I had done. Bad idea. So Control Z is a way to undo thing, and you can Control Z quite a number of times to go back in time. It's always a good way, and it works in Word and PowerPoint and everything else. So playing around, getting it closer to where I wanted. I was down here for sharpen detail. Converted it again to black and white to see where I was with that and whether I was liking it better or not. Did a little bit more on cropping, converting back and forth. So this doesn't actually look very good in color, but it's going to actually, I think, look pretty good in black and white. And that's a kind of a moral of the story. Sometimes that they don't look as good. Played around with temperature, played around with a lot of stuff you can see here. Dehaze, which I don't usually do that much. I added a linear gradient. I did a mask. Did some saturation. So this doesn't look very good right now, but you convert it to black and white, pop up some contrast, and then I did some vignetting, change the midpoint, the roundness, the feathering, and then did a little bit more playing around. So this is what I ended up with. And I thought that was kind of a different look. I just wasn't happy with the color version at any level. So I went to here. So this was the end. And if you actually zoom in, you can see that you can get some pretty good detail on the polyps, right? And even on the surface. This is zoomed in quite a bit. And the other thing that I was really trying to do, as I mentioned, I was trying to get some detail in these areas that were very white, and I felt kind of washed out. And whoops. And you can see that it's still a little bright. You lose the detail, but you can at least see some of the detail in here, right? I could have gone through and played around more to get that. So the other thing then is I said, okay, well, that's a white vignette. What about a black one, which is here? I don't know which one people like, but this was almost the same image, but instead of the white vignette with the black. So that's where I netted out.
Okay. Well, it looks good. I mean, it's leaning more towards an abstract than, yeah, I think it looks good.
I like the black. I'll vote for black.
You vote
Vignette.
black.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you
So
very
I'm
much.
going to close this and quit,
All right.
and then skip, and then I'm going to hopefully open Virginia's Lightroom catalog, which will hopefully then pop her stuff up
Go to the very first image.
Ooh,
in library.
Go to this
First.
one here. Go to that one. Yeah.
All right. You want to sit here?
Yes, get your butt out.
Get my
Do it.
butt out. All right. I'm ejected.
Is it
That's it. Clear out of here, Michael.
here? Take this.
All right.
Okay, so this is I am on Michael's computer, so bear with me a little bit. So here is where the image started. I'm going to set my timer. So here's where I started with the image. So that was the original starting place. And I went ahead and did a couple things. I wasn't that excited by the image, so I decided to use it to kind of play with a couple different things, and kind of see where I ended up.
Hang on, he'll come back. See?
Okay. So this is where I ended up taking the image just with my initial development. And
Now
so,
it looks, now you
You're not
lost,
sharing anymore.
yeah, we're seeing Michael. So if you turn soft coral into Michael,
That's a miracle.
That's some amazing editing.
all right, now we're back to soft coral.
so here is where I ended up with my editing, after kind of going through a few different things. Um, and this is where I ended up liking it. One of the things that I started out different, and when I say I ended up as the final edit, I knew that I was going to take it further. So I kind of pushed the boundaries to begin with in general. One of the things that I started out with, though, before I even did any of the um, white balance, is I actually went to the camera profiles. And how do I move that out of the way? I started out going to the camera profiles.
All right. I'm not going to worry about my video right now.
Are we on?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, so what I start with often is I will go into the different camera standards that are available, and you can kind of see them. They'll pop up here, and there'll be a variety of different ones. And there'll be the black and white, and then there'll also be where the camera ones pop up, maybe.
The color?
Yeah.
usually above it.
That's color right there. Pop it.
And then we'll see the camera matching. So I'll often kind of go into the camera matching and sort of, and I know that I'm going to want to push this photo in the final editing. So I'm going to try to find one that has a lot of detail. So you can see here in my history, I went through a variety of different camera vivid, camera landscape. And as you see here, it'll kind of give you previews of where the photo is going to give you. It's going to give you a live preview. So based on that, I ended up into the camera landscape, and then I went into the custom white balance from there. So kind of knowing that I got more of the detail that I wanted, I went with camera landscape, and then I white balanced it into color. I'm sort of looking at the color and the exposure to determine which one I want to start with, which one seems more out of whack. And that was the white balance to me also. So I went with that. And then I started changing the exposure. I started going into the highlights, and started making kind of adjustments on here. I changed the contrast. I bumped the highlights back down, trying to not have the highlights blown out. I'm continuing here to add exposure, add contrast, and decrease highlights, and pushing the photo, like I was saying, to sort of get more of the detail. I decreased the shadows. I'm kind of looking at the histogram and seeing where I can kind of get more information from this photo. I'm increasing the clarity, increasing texture, and increasing vibrance because, as Michael mentioned, I was watching him play with the photo and I was like, well, I kind of really want to turn that into black and white. So I kind of got up into here. And then this is where I went ahead and made some virtual copies and said, I'm going to stop here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this photo and I'm going to do two things. One, I want to turn it into black and white and see what that looks like. And then the other thing is I want to try some spin blur. While I was here, I went ahead and did some of the masking too, just to kind of see where that would kind of end up, and just kind of playing with the photo because why not? And I ended up kind of here. Thought it was kind of fun. So I updated the color temperature. I had selected this as a mask. I updated it and then inverted it and thought that was kind of a funky, just, hey, why not? But being said, this is where I ended up with the black and white. I chose to not crop it. I kind of went back and forth. You can see I was messing with crop rectangles. But this is kind of my black and white processing. You can see I start with creating the virtual copy, and then I'm going right back into those color profiles. I'm looking at the color profiles to see what I like, where I'm getting that information that I want, and to give me as a starting point now that I'm in black and white. I'm really popping up my contrast, my texture, my clarity. I'm adding dehaze, and I'm just playing around here. I ended up not really kind of trying to push. If you look over here in my information, you can see I'm really kind of pushing it more to the edges because I am shooting in black and white, or I am developing it in black and white, and I kind of really want more information, or actually like more crispiness, or I'm not, what's the right word? That being said, how do I zoom out?
Detail.
Detail, there we go, detail. So going back to a fit, and then I liked this over here. I kind of liked the shape going from one to the other. So in my final crop, I ended up keeping it. I kind of had messed around with these a bit, and ended up this as my crop. And then as my final step, I added some linear gradients on the side. And I did some mask adjustments on here just to kind of darken more around it and have this end up popping more. And then it kind of flow from here to here. So I said, okay, this is kind of my final black and white. And I'm going to kind of leave it at that. And now I'm going to take this one into Photoshop, and I am going to try some spin blur, because
Pull it out.
I can. So these are the two that I kind of ended up with about how to do a blur. Because I was like, okay, well, if I really am liking this piece of coral and I want to make it pop, let's just kind of play with the blur and see what it had, and where I ended up with. So you can see there's two different blurs. So what I did is I took this to Photoshop. I added a spin blur, and then I did a takeout of the mask, kind of blacking out the mask. And that's what let the coral kind of go through. I did two different blurs. I was really liking the color. And that was one of the reasons why I was trying to kind of pop some of the detail in the color and not 100% worrying about making sure that I had final color balance, is because I wanted some of that color in the spin. So yeah, those are my photos. So this is kind of, if I pop them all, of where they ended up.
Very nice. Whoa, that's very nice this way.
So
Well, the spin really has a whole different effect. It really it's pretty cool.
I mean, obviously it's kind of more fun to try to do it in camera, but if you can't do it in camera, I just took it to Photoshop and just to see kind of like where it would come up with. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I
I
like the effects. Ashley, I see you here. You still here?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's see how it is. 1 second. How do I do this? Oh. Wait. Do you see the whole thing? Okay.
Yeah, you're on. Yep.
Okay. 1 second. Things are happening. Oh God, my computer got so slow. Okay. Let me see. So this is what I ended up with. I think for all of us, as soon as I got the photo, I went to Tom and yelled at him for his photo choice because it had I had zero inspiration with this. But I'll just do I do very standard things for more or less everything. Like everyone, I start with color correction. Of course, it needs some fixing afterwards. With this, I wanted to darken the background and then bring the coral in the like more prominent. And for some reason, it started to like automatically reduce the highlights, which is I'm okay with it in this case. I sometimes play like individual things like this and shadows. Like sometimes this felt like too dark. And then now I'm gonna select the subject and I'm gonna undo whatever it did here. I don't know why it's doing this. Why is it doing this? Sorry. I am not doing AI. I am sorry. I have no idea what is this doing right now?
It's okay. Not to worry.
This is supposed to be unedited. Okay, 1 second. Paste settings. I didn't paste any settings. Okay, let's go here. Where is it? Okay, we're here. All right. Highlights. Go down. Sometimes shadows. Is it doing it? Okay. Let's add subject. I have no idea what my computer is doing right now. I apologize.
Yeah. Not to worry. Not to worry.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, I'm gonna reset it and see what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay. So I do this. Whatever. Let's select background. So background selected. Sometimes it works depending this because the subject is quite bright compared to the rest of like the background. It had a good selection. I wanted to like darken the background a little bit. The others is okay. Now let's see if it's gonna. I'm gonna select subject, and it for some reason automatically throws highlight. Am I doing some like what is this? I look like I'm using Lightroom for the first time. I know. I don't have a
But
separate
don't worry, Esther. We'll work this out. Not to
Okay, you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna do what people did like with going over the history. How about that? And we did actually, I had the better one, which I couldn't. Let's do this. All right. All right, let's see what I did here. I played a lot with this. Normally, I don't play with it this much. All right, I started with white balance. Maybe whatever. I played with the whites and highlights. I touch whites and highlights a lot. Generally, I increase the whites a little bit and I put down the highlights. It to me like it my eyes can breathe with that, if that makes sense. Probably not, but it's just like brings things better. I don't know. I don't know how to say. There are no rhyme or reason for things I do. I was playing around. I didn't like the color of the coral, and I thought like I wanted to give it a like pinkish hue. So I was playing with the tint. I guess played with the exposure, whites, increase the texture. I played with the clarity. Clarity, I don't like it much. Maybe sometimes a little bit increase makes it better, but too much makes it like too artificial. I didn't like the background being like too blue, so I try to like, sometimes I do it like I just remove like one color to like it makes things like different, like sort of like unnatural, but brings the subject to the front. So I reduced aqua blue in there, and then I think I selected background, and parts of the I think parts of the background was not very accurate, so I added or subtracted those. So these are all that. These are just things I normally never do. That's why they're like, I'm playing around with the like different like color curves, trying to find like the best background for me. So these are all trials. And then I'm like, now I'm trying to figure out the coral color. And once I've selected subject, I do the whites and highlights adjustments there as well. Like with everyone, I really hated the highlights at the top, and I think I couldn't do much. And like I said, I wasn't that inspired, so I like didn't play with it that much. Back blacks adjustment, clarity. Again, going back to red curve. I'm sorry, this is just like, I wish I could show like the things I normally do. So I was just trying different red curve adjustments to like where my eyes made sense of the color of the coral. And now I'm going to the background and playing with the background. Yeah, these are all different colors that I play with. Oh, I had fun. And whatever. Then it's here. Black, I changed the blacks and it's here. I don't know. Apologies.
Well, so look, and everyone's final image is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and that's what I mean, that's part of the beauty of Lightroom is you get a chance to play, so you can try all those different colors and see what works. And you had basically a kind of a flat image to work with to begin with. So you're probably cursing Tom.
It was so uninspiring. I was hoping like some kind of critter, and I yelled at him, and like I know he's like a landscape photographer. But generally when I play with things, I play with like the white balance, whites and highlights. Almost always like I increase the whites and lower the highlights. Since generally I don't play with much, but this photo definitely needed for me. I always increase the texture a little bit depending on the thing like that. That really like you see like the details, and I like seeing details. And I always have like some vignetting, black vignetting, as you'll always see that in my photos. That's generally what I do, but whatever.
But the end result was good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. And this whole idea of everyone editing the same picture, that was your idea. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I like maybe we should like put this together and like send it to Tom so that he can see like what his photo turned into. I think it's like I really like this like this game. I like it. Because like sometimes like I know a photo and like I know there's something there, but I just can't make it the way I want it. And fresh eyes was always like is a good input.
Yeah. And not only fresh eyes, but another day or two goes by, and you look at what you edited, and you look at it, you say, what the heck was I doing? But also you look at it differently. And so, but that's a good idea. If everyone who has their final image, in Virginia, in your case, one of your final images, you just make a JPEG, send it to me. And then I'll get it to Tom and see if we can get it all out there together.